Right, church, we're going to continue to celebrate God's goodness through membership testimony. Brother Jonathan Yu, husband of Rachel Yu, who shared last week, will be sharing his membership testimony. Jonathan is a radiologist working in the Lake Nona area. I think I said everything last week, so his better half shared last week. Father of 3 beautiful girls, Alyssa, Kylie, and Avery. And so let's give him a hand as he comes and shares his testimony with us.
Well, thank you, Eugene. I think I might need to use him as my future publicist, so I need to go everywhere I go. So, well, my name is, again, Jonathan, and as Eugene has mentioned, I work as a radiologist at the VA Orlando Medical Center at the Lake Nona campus. My wife, Rachel, and I, we've been together almost 10 years. Our anniversary is coming up in a month, and we have 3 lovely girls. And we've been attending Harvest for, since last June. So prior to our move from North Carolina, we were researching for potential churches to attend here in Orlando, and we knew no one around this area. So naturally, we would ask friends at our church back in Durham and in Chicago for suggestions, and a common answer that we heard was that they knew of and heard of a man named by Pastor DL and his ministry. So after we visited here for several Sundays, what I remember the most were how welcoming and inviting the people were here, and observing a dedicated Christian community trying to live the gospel. More so, I was encouraged by the people here going the extra mile to reach out to essentially strangers to get acclimated in a foreign city. For example, the small things matter, right? Getting a place where to get a haircut, where do we get Korean groceries, and inviting us over for dinner. And just these small things matter a lot to us. And this is at a time when, again, Pastor DL was away for this sabbatical. In the book, The Purpose-Driven Church, Rick Warren mentions that a mark of a healthy church is how it operates and functions in the absence of its pastors. So, ultimately, my desire to become a member of this church is because of the people, the community, and the positive influences that the children's ministry have on my girls, so much so that we, want to be part of this. And we moved from Lake Nona to Winter Garden so we can be closer. What I've been really blessed about this church is the house church ministry. It is, the lifeblood of Harvest. We visited several different house churches, and what I've observed was, people coming from different backgrounds and life experiences all share the same commonality, that they are honestly trying to live out their faith, persevering through their trials and tribulations, and just learning to trust God. And I love our house church because I'm excited to come and gather together with our brothers and sisters, praying for one another, and just having a meal, celebrating as if we were extended members of our family that we haven't seen in a while. In fact, a couple weeks back, my oldest was disappointed that we weren't able to go to house church because some of us were sick and unable to attend. And even for a 7-year-old, she understood that missing out in the presence of God without practicing our faith with our brothers and sisters. So in closing, I'd like to share a personal story. Several years back, I was speaking with a young couple. The wife, she was in her late 30s, and she was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was asked to perform a biopsy to assess for metastatic disease. I went over the risks, the benefits, and the alternatives, and I usually ask if there's any questions before we would proceed. And I remember the husband sitting in the chair looking at the floor and then kind of looking at me, and he did have a question. He asked, "Do I believe in Jesus?" And at that moment, I was a little taken back, but I sheepishly said, yes, I do. And he followed up with another question. He goes, "Would you like to pray with us?" And of course, I was happy to do so. So we stood up, we held hands in a circle, and he began to pray. Not only did he pray for just the safety of his wife's from the procedure as well as healing from her ailments. He also prayed for me, my family, and the people that I would encounter. We said our amens, and we transported her to this suite, and, long story short, the procedure went well without complication, and she eventually received the appropriate care that she needed. But shortly thereafter, I began to ponder that experience or that moment, and, here was a man that barely knew me. Like, I didn't know him, but yet he was ministering me through his prayer at the time of his wife's greatest need while I was trying to help them. And I realized that I was really disconnected from the community of believers, that I missed being prayed for and being blessed upon. So for a very long time, I've been really focused and self-absorbed and self-reliant on my own abilities to advance my career, so much so that I neglected a lot of my relationships. And as a result, my faith stagnated. Unknowingly, I essentially let my faith become privatized. And I was disconnected from the community of believers. I let my soul be infected by the westernized individualistic culture, and even in the culture that I live in, with a lot of intellectuals and free thought, that it rendered my faith to be like a lone wolf Christian. But God reminded me that the sojourn of Christian life is not meant to be traveled alone. So God has brought me and my family here, and I'm very thankful for that, to help me realize these facts, to be connected again with a community of believers, to revitalize a faith that's impotent, and establish relationships again. So we are extremely thankful for the people who've reached out to us and blessed us so much. And it is my prayer that I could be a blessing to the people here at Harvest as much as people invested their time, their energy, and love to us. Thank you.